Hello, welcome. Welcome to your practice. Today, our practice is going to be guided around one of the really key foundational philosophical principles of yoga, which is something called Ahimsa. And what Ahimsa means is non-harming or non-violence. So when we look at that, how that would play out in our own yoga practice, non-harming, what does that mean to us? So we want to be able to practice in a way that helps us to explore not only what feels good in our body, but also finding our edges just a little bit. But when we meet those edges, then how do we proceed? Do we just push past the edges into a place where we could potentially harm ourselves? Or do we actually just kind of settle into that edge? Or maybe sometimes we actually step it back just a little bit. And in my experience practicing yoga over the years, it can change from day to day in terms of how do you negotiate those edges within yourself and how to practice in a way that really follows that principle of ahimsa, non-harm. So that's going to be our practice today. What we'll do is practice a few minutes of a gentle flow, just get some mobility into our joints, get our body moving, activate some of our strength. And then we actually are going to really wind it down into a couple of restorative type of yoga postures at the end. So it's a super yummy class. Hopefully that sounds good for you. And if you're going to join me for this one, what you will need is a yoga mat ideally, of course, and also some kind of a pillow off your lounge or off your bed, or, you can see behind me that I actually have a yoga bolster here. So if you have a bolster at home, you might want to grab that as well, or maybe it's just a couple of cushions because we might be using those towards the end of the practice. All right. So with that, let's get started just straight away. We're going to come to child's pose. So as we land down on our knees, let's take a moment just to settle our sitting bones down to the heels. Knees slightly open, and we'll take the palms down to the earth and just start to slowly walk our way forward, coming into a very gentle, soft version of child's pose. Allow yourself just to settle, like dust settling after it's been dusted up. So give yourself a moment just to settle your bones into your mat. Maybe close your eyes even. And start to notice the quality of your breath. Just breathing in and out softly through the nose. Let's take a deep breath in together, spreading out the back ribs a little bit more with the breath if you can. And then open your mouth and just sigh it out. Really slow. One more big breath in. Big breath out. Just starting to reach the hands a little more forward. See if you can straighten out the arms. And we'll lift the gaze forward towards the hands and dome up onto the fingertips. So we create these little mangrove roots with the hands. Our palms are elevated off the floor. Stretch your fingertips even a little bit more forward so that it feels like you're stretching out of your waist, lengthening the whole spine forward. And then just gently bow your head down. You may find that your head doesn't touch the floor. In this case, mine doesn't. But just allow it to hang. Feel that your neck is in line with the thoracic spine. And feel that nice stretch through your side body, like you're opening up your gills. Just taking a couple breaths here. Breathing in and out through the nose. Ujjayi breath. So we're drawing the breath deeply through the back of the throat. And then just go ahead and soften those hands. Walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. We'll cross our left hand on top of the right, dropping the chin towards the left armpit. So you're gazing a little bit under the left arm, but keep your head nice and heavy and just drop that left shoulder a little bit towards the floor. So we're really trying to access beautiful side body stretch for the left side of the spine. Just pausing here for a moment to really deepen that position. And let's go to the center and all the way to the other side. So hands to the right, right hand on top of the left. You're going to drop your gaze under the right arm and then drop the right shoulder a little bit down. And just soften the gaze here. Feel that bit of compression through the left side as the right side body opens. Good, and let's come all the way back to the center. One more big breath in. We'll stay here for a big breath out. Just let yourself drop a little more if you can. Relax those hands. And then scoop the tailbone under, squeeze the thighs towards each other. So you're creating a little bit of what we call bandha here, and engagement through the core. So really feel that, hug your inner thighs towards each other, scoop the tailbone, squeeze your bottom, and we'll press down to rise up with that strength through our core. Yeah, let's come to tabletop position. So opening the feet and the knees about hip width apart. And on your breath in, let's come to happy cow. So we'll tilt the hips back and feel that lower back engaged gently. Just come into a really soft variation. Belly button towards the floor, and then peeling the chest forward. As you lift your gaze, feel the back of the neck engage and try and create that nice opening through the front of the throat. And then slowly reverse, tucking the tailbone between the legs. We'll round the spine, lower, middle, and upper back into angry cat pose. Squeeze the navel up towards the belly, or towards the spine. Reverse, tilting the hips back. Wave your heart forward. Micro bend the elbows, hug the forearms in. Keep the arms strong as you inhale. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. And exhale, rounding the back, slowly coiling in. So let's do 3 rounds. So welcome to close your eyes here as you start to get a little bit more in touch with your body. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Twice more. Inhale. Feel the front body open, and as you exhale, round the back, feel the back body open. We got 1 more. And exhale. Good. Just coming back into neutral, tuck the toes, and we'll come to a floating tabletop. So just pressing into the toes, see if you can float those knees off the floor. Take a breath in. And exhale, tap the knees down. We'll come right back up. Inhale, knees up. Exhale. Twice more. Inhale, knees up. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, knees up, up, up. And this time press back to downward facing dog. As you take the hips back, straighten out the legs. Let the head drop down. Pedal out the feet just a few times. So nice and easy. We bend one knee and straighten the opposite leg. Just loosening up through that back line. Now, just walk your hands a little bit more forward, so maybe an inch or 2 forward. And as you shift your hands, have a look at them. Let's set the index fingers parallel to each other so the fingers are slightly outwards. The inner crease of your elbow turns slightly forward, as if to make a triangle towards the front of the mat, between your elbows and the top of the mat. And then let your head drop down again. Push the floor away and keep lengthening out of the shoulders so that you can send your hips back that little bit further. Bend the knees, lift up on the tippy toes, and now stick your bum way back behind you. So you're in this sort of like little puppy pose. We're going to drop our heels over to the right and let our bum go to the right as well. So this is another side stretch, another lateral bend. You're really opening up through that left side body. See if you can really spread the left side of the rib cage open here. And then we'll just come back to center and go to the other side. Keeping the knees a little bit bent, stick your bum to the left as far as you can and really peel open that right side body. Beautiful. Come back into the center. Nice big long inhale. A slow breath out. And now we'll come down onto the knees, nice and slow, both knees at the same time, and just pause in our table. And now working into our back bend, start to tilt your hips back just a little bit, sticking your bum back, and see if you can lower just your chest and chin to the floor. So we're actually going to let our butt keep up nice and high. We're just working on opening up our spine, and then keeping those hands where they are on the floor. You're going to press slowly into the hands, and then shift the pelvis forward so you can contact the mat. And point the toes, loop the shoulders back, keep the chin drop. As you inhale, start to come into a cobra here. So pressing down into the hands, keep your head down, look for your heart to move forward and to lift up. And once you have that pretty well in your body, then gently lifting the gaze forward, opening up the throat. And then slowly let's take it back, downward facing dog. So we'll send the hips wide and back, tuck toes, lift the knees, pressing all the way back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. So now let's hold this a little more still. Keep spreading the fingers. Keep trying to turn the crease of the elbow a little bit forward. Rotating your triceps back towards the floor a little bit more. 1 more big breath. Good. Then up on the tippy toes, lower both knees to the mat. And now chest and chin. Let your bum stick back behind you. Go nice and slow. And then pressing into the hands, we'll move the hips forward. Point the toes. Tighten the thighs. Roll the shoulders back. Inhale, keep the chin dropped as you press down and lift into a cobra. So your hips come a little bit off the floor here, just slightly at the front. And when you see your heart lifting, keep pressing your back ribs forward into your front ribs and then slowly lifting the gaze. Good, and then we'll press back, downward facing dog. Taking a nice deep breath in and a slow breath out. From here, let's tiptoe forward. So come up onto the tippy toes, the balls of the feet, and tiptoe forward 1 foot at a time until you can find the front of the mat and pause here in a ragdoll pose. So slight bend of the knees, dropping the head down, cupping opposite elbows. Just hook your thumbs in the crease of the elbow. Let your upper body literally drape down. Give your head a shake no a couple of times, really loosen up. And maybe a sway right to left if you feel like having a little bit more movement here. Then we'll go to Malasana, deep squatting position. So hands to the floor, open up those feet a little bit more. And start to bend the knees, sit the hips down. Hands come together in front of the heart. So if this one's a bit of a challenge, just let yourself come up onto the toes for now. See if you can find the balance, lifting the hands together. The arms are inside the knees. We're hugging the knees into the arms. And then taking that forward fold again, hands to the floor, press down into the feet, and slowly fold over your legs. Take another breath here. Big breath out. Okay, twice more like that. So lifting the gaze, sort of a halfway lift. We bend down, squatting into Malasana. Pause here for a moment. And then hands to the floor. Use your strong legs to push the floor away and fold over your legs. Good, last time, squatting down, so getting a little bit of leg work in here. And now pressing down to rise the hips up as you fold over your legs. Beautiful. Inhale, halfway lift, just hold it here. Hands come to the fronts of the legs. So depending on your flexibility is where your hands will go. Keep your arms straight, keep your legs straight, and then lift your chest, pull your front ribs forward away from the hips, and send your sitting bones back behind you. So think wide hips at the back, and we'll fold forward as we exhale, micro bend the knees and fold in. Good, find that halfway lift again, inhale. Pause it here as you exhale, shoulders back, heart forward. Now find your butt with your mind, squeeze your bottom, and then slowly with a nice straight back, we'll inhale, rise all the way up, reach the arms up to the sky, touch and grow tall. And exhale, hands come down to the heart. Let's take a moment just to bring the feet forward on the mat if we need to. And we'll do a little flow here. Nice big inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, folding all the way forward. Let yourself bow down to the legs, little bend of the knees. Inhale to a high halfway lift, so really get that back nice and straight. Front ribs squeeze into the body. Now planting the hands shoulder width apart, step your left foot back to plank and then your right. So we'll come into this high plank position, shoulders over the wrists, core of the body nice and strong. If this is a bit too much, feel free to drop the knees just to take some of the weight out of the equation. We're going to work our strength just a little bit here. So shifting back into the heels and then forward. And we'll just rock that forward and back, 4 more times. So creating a little bit more stability in the body, a little bit more strength. Good, next time you come forward, lower the knees to the mat, chest and chin. We come all the way down. And then glide forward into Cobra. Bring the front of the pelvis to the ground. Inhale, slowly lifting the heart. Just one breath. Good, and exhale all the way back, this time to child's pose. So taking the hips to the heels, let the forehead drop to the mat. Relax the arms and feel. Just feel that energy that you've moved today throughout your body, the blood flowing, the breath moving. Feels so good just to get a little bit of movement happening and get the body to wake up. And go ahead and peel yourself up off the earth. Let's come to seated. Bring our knees together, hands to the floor in front of us. We'll lift up onto the knees, tuck the toes, separate the feet, and then just sitting back on the heels to come into this little toe tuck position. Now there's a couple of ways to work this pose. One way is just to simply sit down and let yourself be heavy, but I want you to see if you can find your bandhas. So you're actually going to lift a little bit by squeezing your thighs towards each other, squeeze your feet towards each other, and really lengthening up out of the pose. So this can actually take pressure off your feet and create a little bit more engagement in the lower body. This is quite a strong pose, so if it's a little too strong, feel free to bring your hands forward and work there. But we'll just be here, one more deep breath. Start to lengthen the fingertips towards the floor. Draw the shoulder heads back, lift the heart. Keep lifting up out of the waist. Beautiful, and then hands to the floor. Releasing the feet, come back to child's pose, all the way back and down. Take one big breath in, big breath out. And then rising back up. Okay, this time we're going to set up for a single-legged pigeon posture, beautiful hip opener. You may want to have a cushion for this one, so feel free to grab it and place it up towards the top of your mat. We'll come back into table when you're ready. And then from table, tuck the toes, lift the knees for a moment, just press back into downward dog. And then right leg, we'll just shift it forward, bringing the right knee down to the mat, just next to the right wrist, sort of behind it, and the right foot across the mat at about a 45 angle. Then just lower the back knee down, come up onto the fingertips of both hands, and really work on just lifting the chest for a moment here. The right toes are pointed back, but like a ballerina, and we'll see if we can start to wiggle the back leg back a little bit to lower the hips down. Now, so for some of you, you might be fairly high still here, so this is where we can use a cushion just to place it under the right hip to give us that extra support. I want you to be able to kind of sit here, meaning to bring that right hip down to something. So whether it's pretty close to the ground or using a cushion today, just finding that position. Then relaxing the back toes back, lift the heart one more time, slingshot the chest forward as you take a big breath in. And as you exhale, let's crawl all the way forward down into the forearms. So pause here for a moment, just feeling into the pose. You may choose, if you don't feel much going on, you might choose to bring that right foot a little bit higher up your mat so it approaches a parallel line with the top of the mat. Feel free to set that up, just going deeper into that external rotation of the hip, and then you can come into it again. Or you might be perfect, a lot of us will be perfect with that foot just angled back a little bit further. So you see what feels best for you. I want you to try and really find that edge in your outer right hip. So you're connecting into that edge. And like I said at the start of the practice, day to day that edge is going to change on us, yeah? So we are mindful about where that edge is, how it shifts and changes. Just really being in the moment from each day. Let's just take 3 more breaths. And 2 more. Last one. Good. Now feel that outer shin, the right shin on the floor, the outer right foot. Press down into that, activating that bandha in your leg. We start to rise up slowly back onto the hands. We'll tuck the left toes, lift the knee, and press back to downward facing dog for a moment. Feel free to pedal it out, move your pillow if you're using that, or your cushion. And we'll go ahead and set up our other side. So we're bringing our left leg forward, left knee right behind the left wrist. The left foot's at about a 45 angle, angled slightly back. We're pointing those toes, coming up onto the fingertips, and just taking a moment to lift and lengthen up out of the waist. Front of the body opening, the right hip opening. And again, if that hip is really high off the ground, bring your cushion into place. We'll take one more big breath in to lengthen, and then exhale just to come down. And here's the opportunity when you're on your forearms to move where your left foot is. So if you need a little more stretch, go ahead and bring it up your mat so your left shin is closer to parallel to the top of your mat. Remember to relax that back foot. Feel the baby toenail spiraling down to the floor if you can. And again, just see if you can connect into your edge, your own personal edge. So finding that place, I think of it as a door that's opening. So we come up against something in the body that feels like a bit of a closed door, and now we've got the key, we start to open up. When we open up, we actually open up a whole new world of possibilities within our bodies as well. So really our focus again is in that outer left hip, that left glute muscle, allowing it to soften and open up. Got 3 more breaths. Every inhale, just grow the spine that little bit longer. It's like you're moving your ribs and your heart a little bit forward. Every exhale, just melting into that simmer, relaxing into it a little bit more. 2 more breaths. Last one. And there is no rush at all. When you are ready to come out, we start to slowly ease our way back onto the hands. We tuck the right toes, lift the knee, and we're stepping back into downward facing dog for a moment, moving any props off to the side. Pausing here for a moment. Let's lower down onto the knees, come and have a seat, and spiral around to bring our legs in front of us. So what we'll finish with today is a nice heart opener or front body opener. This is where our cushion or our bolster, if we have one, may come into play. Alternatively, you could also even roll up a towel. That's a really nice way to do this. Just take a big bath towel and roll it up into a tight roll. But we're going to go ahead and bring something that looks a bit like a roll behind us. This could be a pillow that's folded over as well, right behind us, maybe about an inch away from our sacrum. We'll take a pillow, or if you have a yoga block at home, you could use that. We're going to start to lay back over this and support our head position once we get there. So to get there, just placing your elbows on that support you have, you start to lay back, and you're going to take an extra cushion or a yoga block or whatever you have and just place it behind you so you can literally just rest your head back. So I want you to feel super, super cozy, super comfortable. So just negotiate with what props you have, how you can create this gentle lift through your upper spine and your middle spine. Once you get that position, let your arms just splay nice and wide out to the sides, palms nice and open. Your legs could either be cross-legged position, or if your knees feel comfortable with it, try bringing your soles of feet together with your knees just opening down to the floor. Now, one little word of caution for this one, to keep us in line with that principle of Ahimsa, nonviolence, is we want to be very careful with our lower back. So if your lower back feels like it's protecting, like it's a bit uncomfortable, I want you just to negotiate moving your hips a little bit further away. So you might have to come out of the position to set that up, or you might just do that while you're in the position. Or you might have to lessen the depth of how far you're going back to make your lower back feel comfortable. So do whatever you need to do to feel completely free here. And then I'm going to invite you into closing your eyes once you arrive in that place of freedom. Just become aware of your jaw for a moment. Feel the back teeth relax. Tongue dropping to the bottom of your mouth. Tip of your tongue lightly touching the roof of your mouth, right behind your upper 2 front teeth, to release your palate. Almost like you have a hint of a smile, like the Mona Lisa smile. Feel this sense of aliveness in your body now. Even though you're relaxing and sort of melting into the pose, you still feel that sense of being alive, being vital in this present moment. Just spend about 5 more breaths. It's a nice time as well just to reflect on that principle of Ahimsa, non-harming. And notice how we negotiate that principle in our lives. So one area that often gets overlooked is really giving yourself permission to feel good, giving yourself permission to do the things that you love, giving yourself permission to make those choices that will bring joy into your heart. Those are forms of Ahimsa, bringing yourself into a place of alignment, rather than forcing yourself to stay someplace that feels a little bit out of alignment and therefore actually can cause harm. Take one more deep breath in. Deep breath out, let it go. From this position, we'll start to slowly ease our way out of this posture. And we're going to go ahead and lie down on our backs when we're ready and take a quick little Shavasana. So just take your time coming out of that position, but as simply as you can, try to lie back down on your back without too many changes of position in between. So you can really feel the effects of that magnificent posture. Just allow yourself to splay out now a little bit like a puddle on the ground. The palms open up. If your back is tender at all, place your feet on the ground, lifting the hips up and just moving the hips towards your feet. It's a very subtle movement. Feel that you're lengthening your spine by doing that, and then you can just relax your legs out straight again. Let the toes fall open to the sides, the fingertips soften in. The inside soft part of your arms turning up to the sky, the tricep and the back of the shoulder spiraling down to the floor. Let your tongue lay thick inside your mouth. Soften the edges of your eyes. And acknowledge your efforts today. Acknowledge yourself for taking that time out to be with yourself on your mat. It takes courage, it takes discipline, it takes commitment to really connect with yourself in this way. And self-love, probably the most important thing. Now you're welcome to stay and enjoy Shavasana for a little while longer, as long as you like. When you feel ready to move, we'll just bring some gentle movement into fingers and toes, and then interlacing the fingers, turning the palms up, stretch the arms all the way overhead so you get this big lengthening from top to bottom in your body. And bend the knees, blink the eyes open, perhaps just rolling over to our right side for a moment. Soft eyes, resting there. And when you're ready, pressing your way up to a seated position. Find yourself a nice tall spine. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. Closed eyes, bowing the chin to the chest. Honor the sacred within you. And honor the sacred in everything around you. People in your life. Mother Nature reminding us to come back to ourselves. Namaste.